Jackson Pollock was an abstract expressionist artist. These artists were a group of young New York artists who made artworks that were non-representational or non-objective, meaning they didn't look like anything we can recognize, like people or places. Instead, they tried to show emotions like happiness, sadness, or anger in the expressive marks that they made in their artworks. His most famous paintings were made during his drip period between 1947 and 1950. During this period, Jackson Pollock made art by dripping, throwing, and flinging art onto the canvases. He would lay the canvas flat on the ground so he could move around the entire canvas while he worked. He would use very runny, liquidy paints to make it easy to drop the paint onto the canvas. These paintings are also called action paintings. Throughout his career, Jackson Pollock did make both non-objective and abstract artworks. Sometimes he even added splatter paint on top of his abstract artworks. For this lesson, we are going to focus on his drip paintings and recreate our own splatter paint paintings. For this splatter paint lesson, I'm going to be showing you two different ways to do this. You're going to need some paper, as well as some paintbrushes, some paints, some water, containers or something to use as a palette, and some markers to create some splatter paint artworks. Don't forget your messy mat, or even consider working outside while you make these artworks because it can get pretty messy. An easy way to make splatter art is to flick your paintbrush just like I'm doing here. I'm dragging my fingers across the bristles. You're going to take a little bit of watered down paint onto your paintbrush, and you're going to use your finger to drag across those bristles, and it's going to flick paint onto your paper. You can layer as many colors as you like using this method. Just make sure you keep your paintbrush clean between different colors unless you're planning on mixing the colors together. You can do more of a flinging method with your paintbrush. It's going to involve moving your entire arm as well as your wrist to fling paint onto the paper. So again, I'm going to use some watered down paint, and I'm going to fling that paint onto the paper. And you can experiment with what happens if you put your brush closer to the paper, or even what happens if you smack your brush against the paper. Another way that we can make splatter art is by using washable markers. All of the ink that is inside of your marker can come out of the tip by flinging your marker. You're going to have to fling kind of heavy and move your whole arm and your wrist. And by doing that, it's going to shoot the ink out of the marker and onto your paper. You can change your position around your paper to make marks going in all sorts of directions. I would even recommend doing this outside or in an environment where you have a lot of messy mats or towels laid down, because it does fling everywhere and it probably will get on you. But make sure you're using washable markers so you can easily clean yourself off after.